summer, we saw anarchists, Antifa, all these different scum, these people. A lot of people in this country didn't even know how much white people are hated in this country. Just the depths of it. It's not just a black guy in a beret with a Black Panther stuff. No. This is actually a unanimous idea, a consensus in banking, capital, universities, in the government, at the FBI, in the NGOs. We live in a country that is institutionally anti-white. This is a country rife with injustice. Just the other day, I got a phone call from someone in my capacity as a journalist. He knew this family that was killed in North Carolina. I'm sure you guys have heard about it.
Yeah.
It was a doctor, his wife, and their 2 grandbabies, 6 and 9. 2 HVAC workers shot, 1 dead. All white. Shooter, a football player. This guy knew this family, this doctor family. They ran 2 health clinics in a kind of rural part of North Carolina. They spent all their free time helping disabled children. They were very nice to the black community. They were nice to treat everyone equally, very compassionate, very brilliant. This was like a Renaissance man, this doctor. Murdered. Why? Well, the story, this is no joke, the story. And this guy that called me was complaining about this. According to the media, this black guy killed this family. Didn't kill any blacks, including the ones that lived in his house, but he killed 2 white, 1 white HVAC worker, shot another one, killed this entire family because he got hit in the head playing football. So I look at that, and when I look up the news stories on this topic, there's no other narrative. It's just, how can we blame something like the NFL, blame drugs, blame mental illness, and so on? Well, here's the problem. The only reason they're allowed to do that is because white people in this country are invisible.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. Liberalism is a system that prioritizes the atypical over the typical. So we always hear about South Africa, apartheid, we want majority rule. Well, what happens in America when you call for majority rule? Well, the same people say it's anti-democratic. Why? Only because it's white people who are the majority and they don't want to do what the majority wants. So how did it get this way? How did it get this way? And this is actually the crux of my speech. Cowardice. We heard Alan talk about Richard Nixon and Billy Graham, 2 of the most powerful men in America in their time, talking amongst themselves, oh, the Jews, they're spreading marijuana. And yet, in public, when a Jew would flinch at Nixon or Billy Graham, they turn into pigeons and fly away. This is actually why we're here, not to be transactional with the conservative movement, but to push them out of the way. I'm not here to be a bigot. I'm not here to oppress someone. Well, all right. All right, very funny, very funny. Very funny. All right, okay, a little bit. But I'm not here to take anyone's rights. This struggle is actually purely about self-defense. It's just, it's fair.
Yeah.
We have just been attacked. Listen, we have the facts on our side. We've won all the debates. That's why they silence us. That's why they censor us. They don't have an argument, which is why when they say things like, we need more affirmative action in commercial airlines, I say this, let's start with Air Force One. A lot of guys in the committee, we've suffered quite a bit. And all of you have probably suffered to some extent as well. I'm sure everyone here knows someone who has lost their job or been beaten up or even put in prison for their political beliefs. This is not acceptable. It's not something that we need to accept, but it's also not something that we need to fear. Because there are different things that are worse than death, worse than prison in this world. In a world where we start being genocided Rwanda style is, in my opinion, worse than being a little inconvenienced today. I always say that they're going to attack us with everything. If you're here today, you're taking a risk. I'm not going to lie to you. We're all taking risks here. In the past, they've tried to sue us. I've been attacked by anarchists a million times, dealt with that. The police, I'm put on the terrorist watch list. Don't even have a criminal record. What I say to these elites is, it's all in vain. You could kill me. You could put me in prison, you could kill me, you could shut me up, deplatform, whatever. I'm only an emissary. Here before me is blue collar, white collar, the community of workers. We have artists, musicians, writers, journalists, engineers, creative people coming together to build our counterculture. The purpose of the National Justice Party is not to control every small aspect of this counterculture. The degree of of intellect and creativity that we all have needs to have freedom and license to grow naturally without our input. However, it is important that we all push towards the same goal, that we all stick together, that we build each other up. It's very important that as nationalist activists, we embody a kind of nobility and compassion. Very vital that you are kind to children, kind to animals, that you are selfless, fearless, that you always, always operate of love. We are love criminals, not hate criminals. What gets me about this system is the audacity of the powerful. Last summer, this has probably never happened in history. We have rich people, the children of bankers, college students, grad students, putting on masks, going into the working class part of town and smashing up small businesses. The rich attacking the poor. And on top of that, feeling moral about it. We already know, I expect politicians lie, capitalists exploit, leftists destroy. We know all this. But what the fuck is with the victim mentality? What's this? Oh, I'm oppressed. Oh, I was a microaggression from this. What? Do they think that's going to work forever? And again, it is through publishing works, doing charitable acts, and creating art. We have a band here. We have a book publishing house. We have everything coming into synchronization. Because politics, contrary to what a conservative will tell you, is not about the individual. It's about groups vying for power, competing nationalisms. Okay? America is not an individualist country. It is a group of competing nationalisms fighting for power. if you don't compete, you just won't have any power. That's why every group, look at how the Asian hate crime crisis, they say, just like with SpongeBob and with Dr. Seuss, conservatives will take up the cause of fighting against crime or affirmative action bigotry if it's Asians, right? But when you actually look at the trajectory of how this conversation is going, somehow when a black guy attacks a 70-year-old Asian woman to steal her purse, it's white people's fault. Yeah. And I think we all know where this is emanating. We know today that the Anti-Defamation League's Jonathan Greenblatt comes out, and he saw some Tucker Carlson clip where he said some very, immigration, they're trying to replace their voice. It's not really true, but whatever. Very milquetoast criticism of immigration. Jonathan Greenblatt, Mr. Greenblatt, comes out and he goes, "You ought to be fired. I'm calling for you." Now, if you go on the Anti-Defamation League's website, right, he was complaining that Tucker Carlson was spreading a conspiracy theory called the Great Replacement. Conspiracy theory. The idea that if you bring a different group of people into a European nation, it's going to change. It's one of those conspiracy theories, like, the Jews run the media or the banks. One of those crazy people believe that. Let me read you something. This is from the Anti-Defamation League's website. Again, remember, when we talk about it here, it's a conspiracy theory. It's hate. They call it hate. Well, this is on the ADL's website. Furthermore, binationalism is unworkable given current realities and historic animosities. Wait a second. What are you talking about? With historically high birth rates among the Guatemalans, Palestinians, and a possible influx of Palestinian refugees and their descendants now living around the world, Jews would quickly be a minority within a binational state, thus likely ending any semblance of equal representation and protections. In this situation, the Jewish population would be increasingly politically and potentially physically vulnerable. So wait a second. The guy that says mass immigration and refugees are good for America says they're a physical and political threat in Israel. Perhaps these apostles of humanity are actually malicious actors. Jonathan Greenblatt at the Anti-Defamation League wants to control what you can read, what you can say, what you can think. Does he forget that Jews are 2% of the population and we are 65? There are good people in every part of our society. There are good people in law enforcement, good people in the military. For a few hours, there are even good people in Congress. But where are they? Where are they? Where are these good people? They hang their heads in shame. Don't they realize that the longer they stay silent, the more irreparable the harm? The more the karmic debt our children and grandchildren will have to pay, because everything in this life is karma. When you are lazy today, your children pay for it in the future. What are you going to tell your children honestly, I know the South Africa comparison is a cliche at this point. I think actually America is worse than South Africa in a lot of ways. Because America has the worst of both worlds. In South Africa, they couldn't prosecute internet hate speech if they tried. In the 1960s, there's something very unique about our country. And it's really that our history has been written by our enemies to create civilizational self-doubt. If you're taught that your civilization is the root of all evil, that Western civilization, the people that created a reason-based philosophy that did all these great things, clearly the greatest civilization the world has ever known, that lives in our blood, that America, through the mystique of European blood, America became a superpower. The National Justice Party naturally gets called many different names. We get called supremacist, neo-Nazi, blah, blah, blah. Not that I care. But what they don't tell you is that Mussolini and Hitler weren't the only guys that resisted world Jewry in the 30s. You ever heard of Henry Ford? You ever heard of Huey Long, Father Coughlin? Our fight is as American as any other fight. Much more. What's American about endless wars, open borders, and cosmopolitanism? There's nothing American about that. No. When a European meets in America, we were talking about this with Mike once, very recently. People actually hate America, but like Americans. So Europeans and people from different countries, even like Mexico or Asia or whatever, they meet Americans. They're like, "Wow, you guys are kind of fat, kind of goofy, but really nice." Because this place where we are now, here in the Rust Belt, the middle of the country, this is America. It's not the sweaty stockbrokers on Wall Street. No. It's not the hook-nosed dyke in Hollywood. No. It's not the lizard man running Facebook from Silicon Valley. No. It's the people get up every day, go to work to fight for their family and fight for their country. That's who America is. Yeah. What's unique about these elites today is, like I said before, they play the victim. We're oppressing them. We're oppressing them. And when you're in that mindset of a powerful victim, you create a situation where you're completely impervious of the harm and pain you're inflicting on the little people. But the little people aren't helpless. We're just not organized. Just imagine if we all agreed on 1 week. All white working people strike. No police, no firefighters, no mechanics. The trucks don't bring any food. These are all majority white industries. Hard work that they're never talking about diversifying. You know, do you see any talks about that? Maybe there's immigration competing, but you don't see Jews lining up to drive a truck. But I'll say this, Mr. Greenblatt, there ain't no cornfields in Manhattan or LA. Do you think pastrami really does grow out of a butcher's freezer? Matzo balls don't rain down from the sky. And so what happens if the 70-80% white truckers of America overwhelmingly, who politically agree with us for the most part, what if they say, I'm not bringing any food to New York or Manhattan or to Los Angeles or San Francisco? If white people are the root of all evil and white privilege is oppressing everyone, why don't you just not go to work one day and see what happens? We have the power to break this machine just by doing nothing. Now you tell me, are you going to keep cowering before these people? No! Are you ready to stand up for what's right and noble? Yes! Well, then if you are, you're in the right place. I'll just say that I'm happy for everyone here, but everyone also needs to talk to one other person at least. And we want to double the people here for the next event. It's not that hard. The material conditions are lining up. White people awake!